to Blowin Smoke, ladies and gentlemen. I'm AJ Gaynor, your host. This is the Talk America Radio Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. I tell you what, the media flexed their muscles this week, didn't they? Yes, indeed, some saber rattling from our mainstream media, the leftist media. This series of events that took place in Charlottesville last weekend turned into, now that it's this far past it, we can see it was an operation. It was a leftist, Democrat, alt-left demonstration. This was, well, as you've heard, that Saul Alinsky principle, never let a crisis go unused. Always take advantage of those moments. And that's exactly what happened. If you haven't heard, police stand down. They're not supposed to. They're told they're not going to do anything. We were given all kinds of reasons why the police weren't there to keep these two groups from clashing with one another. We've heard all of the rigmarole, I love that word, about who said what, didn't, what Trump said, didn't say, what it means, doesn't mean. But what the media succeeded in doing, and why I say they flexed their muscles, is because they managed to get all of the Republican never-Trumpers, the never-Trumpers in general, all of the Democrats, the establishment, the swamp, that is, the upper government, lower government, all three branches, Republicans, establishment Republicans, and plenty of pundits who call themselves conservatives or call themselves Republicans. They were able to get all of them to chime in negatively about the president concerning all of the different things that went on. Almost all of them, not all. Obviously, there are some that stuck it out. Obviously, this today, as I do the show, as I'm recording the show, just earlier today, Bannon left. Today was his last day. So, again, you would hear pundits and folks on the news saying, well, another bad week, tough week for Trump. Well, of course it was, because the media, the swamp, the rhinos, the establishment in Washington, D.C., the leftist mainstream media, including Fox News nowadays, save just a few individuals that are allowed to appear on that network, they flexed their muscles. They attacked and attacked and attacked and verbally abused and verbally abused and verbally abused our president. They have twisted and spun his words, lack of words, things he did say, didn't say, to meet their narrative, to match their narrative, to try to take him down and take him out. They succeeded. What was it? More than half a dozen leaving some presidential council on this or that, manufacturing industry, whatever it was. You know what I say to the president's council being disbanded? Good. It's really interesting to me to think about it this way. The left in this country, the Democrat Party, all of the liberal progressives like to talk a big game about how corporations are awful, CEOs make too much, the corporate world is enslaving us through our materialism, consumerism, blah, 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 blah. We've heard that kind of diatribe since the late 60s. But now, when these same CEOs, these same masters of business, the same daddy warbucks, the evil corporate monster types who lead their separate groups and their industries, we're supposed to feel bad and take it as a negative that they were resigning the positions that give them unfair advantage over other businesses in their industries. We're supposed to be upset that now there aren't CEOs and people that, well, if we believe in nepotism, if we believe in the swamp, if we believe in the establishment, if we believe in the fraudulent kind of oligarchical approach that we've seen taking place in this country, where business is in bed with government to the detriment and the negative impact of the majority of the people and the citizens of the country, why would we be upset that a series of CEOs from billion-dollar corporations with global presence left the council for the president? Is it because we're supposed to now all of a sudden believe that they were doing some kind of immeasurable good by sitting there and pontificating about what should and shouldn't happen? I don't see a meeting of any presidential council with industry leaders and business leaders or even community leaders. I don't see them discussing the Constitution. It's not in my head that when they get together they think about how can we restore our republic to a more constitutional operating fashion. It's not the conversation they're having. They're in there to enrich themselves. They're in there to win their contests with their competitors in their different industries. whatever lip service they pay to their employees and the folks that that they quote unquote represent. It's just that lip service. I don't buy it. Well, AJ, how can you accept a businessman in the White House? Because I don't conflate disagreement and criticism and my opinion that our corporations and the individuals and the people that are in the offices of power in our economic and business world and industrial world, just because I don't like how they do things, just because I don't like that they take advantage of the opportunities to game the system, doesn't mean that I don't appreciate capitalism. Recognizing that there are ethical questions about corporatism, capitalism in general, doesn't mean, I guess the best way to put this would be, I don't do a lot of hating. My disagreements don't move to the extremes very often. It's rare. It has to do with things like white supremacy or Nazis or even, the opposite kind, the reciprocated racism that you get from some disparate groups. I just don't go to extremes. I don't need to slash and burn and salt the earth just because I don't like some aspects of some things. It's something that I guess that's the way that I look at it. Whatever's happening in industry, in our economy, and in our business world that is nefarious and nepotistic and not in our best interest, that's the kind of thing I think we send people to Washington to fix. Not our welfare system, or not give me health care, and not provide everybody with cradle-to-grave care and validation and incentive and food and shelter. That's the whole thing. I think if you're someone who really wants the swamp drained in Washington, D.C., you want as many CEOs and lobbyists and representatives of business and industry out so that the people that we elect to go and serve the Constitution can do just that. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. But again, back to this, the media flexed its muscles this week, and we saw that because CEOs resigned. They didn't want the flack from the media with the PR mess. We see people like Mitt Romney. Can you believe he was almost our president? My goodness. And I'll admit, because I have a bigger concern for what Democrats and the damage they'll do to this country, I voted for Romney because I believed that Obama would have just as bad an effect, and his party and his agenda would have just as bad an effect, negative effect on this country as it did. But my goodness, what a coward, what a spineless human being. And I guess that's how I would describe all of the Republican never-Trumpers. I see people who are openly in opposition to the desire of the voters, the middle class, the citizens of the United States. Politicians like Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, the list goes on and on, Lindsey Graham, on and on and on and on. They are openly in front of us, condescending, dismissive, smug, and elitist, maybe that's the term, to our faces. We elected this man to be president. We heard the things that he said and talked about, and said that his agenda, his administration was going to be about, and we said yes, especially in the face of the criminal half of the Clinton family that was running for the presidential office as well. We said no to her, we said yes to him, and now the other elected officials in the party that we put in power are saying no to us. What are we going to do about it? Well, we shall see. We talk about making phone calls and leaving messages and writing letters and talking to people and posting on Facebook and sharing the stories. It doesn't appear to be working, does it? Does that mean we need to stop? I don't think it does. I think we speak the loudest with our elections. But secondly, we speak the loudest with our dollars. And so if these candidates are not receiving donations from us and from people that we work with and work for, if we are ignoring them, if we take them out of office come their next election, whether it's in 2018 or 2020, that is when it happens. And so, to sum up this approach, the media flexed its muscles. We see our president under assault, as we have since he won the election in 2016. We just have to be calm. We have to remain calm. We have to breathe deeply. We have to understand that the hype and the drama and the emotional, reactive nonsense, the hysterical blather that's coming from the media and from the never-Trumpers and from the rhinos and from the bubble world inhabiting pundits of the Beltway of Washington, D.C. We just need to be able to ignore them. We need to be able to look at them and hear them the way we would a petulant spoiled child, a 5-year-old crying because we wouldn't allow them to have the third Twinkie. That's how we treat the mainstream media. That's how we treat the rhinos, the never-Trump Republicans, people like Ryan and McConnell and Graham. That's how we treat people who are going to put their own happiness, their own agenda, their own desires to shape America the way they see fit above yours and mine, the people who elected Trump to office this past November. Thanks for tuning in. This is Blowin Smoke. We have much more for you. Stay tuned right here on the Talk America Radio Network.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-296-1289, 800-296-1289, 800-296-1289. That's 800-296-1289.
Welcome back to Blowin Smoke, ladies and gentlemen. The flexing of the muscles of the media. That's what we talked about in our first segment. And to kind of piggyback onto that, as I watched this whole thing unfold around Charlottesville and the media's reaction to our president's comments, and then the media's reaction to other conservatives, Trump fans, people on the right who came down on the media for not having equal disdain for Antifa and BLM, the folks who wanted it to be all about the fact that there were Nazis and white supremacists and skinheads there, and that's all we were supposed to think about. And because that was the case, there shouldn't even be any more discussion. End of story. Rah, 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 Antifa. That's the way we were supposed to react. Because we didn't react that way, the media ramped up its efforts to then paint with a broad brush everyone who has voted for Trump, everyone who is a Republican, to put us all in that category of a white supremacist, of a Nazi, of someone who has no problem with the KKK. Meanwhile, all of us out here know the KKK was created by the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party opposed every bit of desegregation, every bit of emancipation, all of the acts that took place to place on an equal footing and an equal playing field the minority populations in this country. The Democrats opposed. We also have seen before and during the campaign and now after, these same groups, Antifa, if that's the way you say it. I think Antifa makes it sounds lamer. That's why I use Antifa. BLM, they have been bad actors for quite a long time now. They have initiated violence and looting and rioting well before this weekend. And as I said in the first segment, this was a setup. They realized because KKK, the white supremacists, the bad guys there, they got a permit, so there was knowledge of what they were going to do, when, where, and how, why, and how. And so that gave the left, the Democrats, the enemies of America, an opportunity to make their plans and pull off their operation. And that's exactly what happened. The thing that concerns me is this. As I watched all of this unfold over Charlottesville, the left is inching closer and closer to open civil war against the rest of the country. And what I mean by the rest of the country, the part of the country that doesn't vote Democrat. And why do I believe that they're inching closer? Well, there are many who are already saying that we're in the midst of a civil war, and this battle between the right and the left that we saw play out with the alt-right, alt-left, the extremes of this spectrum there for both sides, they battled it. And so now everyone wants to try to find correlations and parallels and analogies for the rest of the spectrum, the rest of us who either find ourselves on the right or the left. None of those things are true. We really are mostly, for the most part, individuals and our own people. But the civil war that's been going on previously to now has been folks on the left attacking the extreme folks on the right. What I believe this effort was about this past weekend with Charlottesville was to shift that identification of the target from the alt-right, from just the actual self-proclaimed white supremacist KKK, skinhead, all those folks, but to now paint all Republicans, all Republican voters, all of Trump voters as racist bigots who need to be aggressed upon. There have been neo-Nazis, white supremacist skinheads for a very, very long time. We've seen them. They've marched. They've rallied dozens of times over the decades. They've met with derision. They've met with marginalization every time. Those groups have gotten smaller and smaller as we have moved through our history here in this country, and their numbers have dwindled. What is the outside guess on the number of people who would actually self-proclaim and say that they're part of these groups? What is it going to be? 500,000 people in the United States? Out of a population of 320 plus million people, 500,000 people have these extreme views. So to me, that says the correct way to address these people is to pretend as if they don't exist, to marginalize them, to be derisive towards them, to ignore them, to put them in their place by not even allowing their voice, when they do use it, to be registered, to be heard, to be understood, to be responded to. You simply stop giving that fire fuel, and that's what happens. It disappears. It starts to burn and ebb to such a low level that it's not a problem anymore. And people who do profess those kinds of things and believe those kinds of things and belong to those kinds of groups, they marginalize themselves. They're on the outskirts of society. They have no power over anyone. However, the thing that concerns me the most about this, I think it's advantageous for the modern left, the Democrat Party, to conflate their opponents and their enemies' presence, to conflate the presence of white supremacy and the KKK and all of this racism stuff. The left, the Democrat Party, gets to behave as if it's a much bigger problem than it actually is. They get to conflate and exaggerate the presence of that kind of thought process and that kind of feeling in our society. It's nowhere. The only place it is in these few thousand, 100,000 individuals in a country the size of our own, and it's meaningless. But it's another arrow in the quiver of the left and the Democrats to fire at President Trump. What are they aiming to do? They want to smear, as I said, the whole Republican Party. They want all of us to be seen by people who are easily persuaded that the Republicans are all racist, Nazi, white supremacists. And why would they do that? Why would they want to just offhand prejudge millions upon millions upon millions of American people? Well, so that they can then justify more and more violence against them. Remember, we saw the violence against Trump supporters during the campaign from Antifa, from Black Lives Matter. We've seen the other kind of violence and riot from Antifa and BLM as well, whether it be the rioting on Inauguration Day or the march in Dallas that turned into the murder, the assassination of 5 police officers. We've seen it. We know these groups are violent and that they have desired more violence, and when they had the opportunity, they have perpetrated it. What I fear now is that they're casting a bigger net. They're expanding and putting targets on all of us, so that we can become their victim. We can become their target of attack. Remember, they just need to convince, the Democrats just need to convince their base. The left just need to convince their fellow leftists that we are the ones that are their enemy, that they will not ever achieve the peace and the reality that they dream of and hold so dear if we're allowed to remain a part of the process. They think they can convince Americans to flee the Republican Party. They think they convince everyday Americans to flee Republican candidates by trying to do this trick of association. And I don't personally think that it's going to work, but I do believe that the left and the Democrats will behave as if it has worked, and that we will see more violence, and that this soft civil war, as I've heard some describe it, will become a much harder one. The problem here is the left, what they don't get is that they won't accomplish driving us away from the party or from the candidates or anything close to it, because we the people aren't their subjects. We're not waiting for marching orders. We're not their sheep to be herded around and told what to think and who we are. And We're the people who do the real jobs, folks. We do the real labor in this country. We make and do and cause to be the daily lives of our nation, our country. We are this nation. That's something that's been thrown around almost in a cliche way for a long time, but it's absolutely true. We the people are the nation. We who live side by side, work side by side, with people of all colors and backgrounds and religions, we won't be told we're racists. We won't be told that we're misogynists. We won't be told we're bigoted, because we know we're not. And because we aren't. We simply live our lives with a billion different opinions amongst us about a billion different things, but very few of those opinions that we have, for the majority of us in this country, none of those opinions, ever turn or transform into actual behaviors. They're just stuff that go through people's heads. If you're tired, you're hangry, you haven't had a Snickers in a while, and someone cuts you off in traffic, you say a lot of mean things. It's not real, it's simply an expression. But that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about here. Liberals, Democrats want to believe and want to behave and want to teach us that every little emotional response we have to something is some kind of deep, truthful telling about our character, when really it's not. The left has been working, ladies and gentlemen, to turn opinion and speech into crime and violence for a while now. They're being very open about it these days. If you don't believe me, look at the Google firing. The guy who wrote the memo challenging their diversity policy there. They fired him because he wrote a memo and he thought differently about what was going on. But they were quoted as saying he was committing violence by saying things that other people in the management and in the upper echelons of Google found offensive. Committing violence. That is taking words and opinions and transforming them into physical acts, violence and crime. And that is something we cannot allow to have happen, because it simply isn't. Well, it's not reality. It's why you've heard me refer to Democrats and the left as completely delusional, because they're the type who will believe a phrase is some kind of violent physical act. It's amazing how quickly this clock ticks as we're sitting here talking about these things that are going on. I got to step away for another break, but there's more here about what the left, the Democrat Party, has attempted to do through the Charlottesville events. And then also, as we moved through the week and we got into the events in Barcelona and Spain at the end of the week, we're going to get back into this. I hope you'll stay tuned. This is Blowin Smoke with AJ Gaynor right here on the Talk America Radio Network.
Let's dance.
If you owe the IRS or state $20,000 or more in back taxes, you need the tax resolution experts at Fortress Financial Services. We save businesses and individuals from being shut down by the IRS. Your local attorney or CPA cannot negotiate with the IRS like us. This is all we do. We'll defend you, protect you, and negotiate the best deal. Here's what other Fortress clients have said. Jim F. from Texas. I couldn't imagine Fortress would achieve what they did. You can't find more understanding, impressive people. I want to thank Fortress for saving my life. Ed P. from Utah. After trying reputable local attorneys, I'd gotten nowhere. That changed once I called Fortress. They got results almost immediately. If you owe $20,000 or more to the IRS or state, call Fortress Financial now for a free consultation.
800-918-6794. 800-918-6794. That's 800-918-6794.
Are you tired of paying high prices for TV channels you don't watch? Of course you are. You want to watch and pay for the channels you like. Now you can take back control of your TV with Dish's Flex Pack. Get over 50 of America's favorite channels for just $39.99 per month, and then add the channel packs that you want. And your TV price won't go up for 2 years, guaranteed. Plus, when you call today, you'll get free standard installation in up to 6 rooms and a free HD DVR upgrade. Need more channels? Dish offers loaded channel lineups from $54.99 per month, featuring over 190 channels, and HBO is included for a full year. And for a limited time, GoDish will give you a $100 prepaid Visa card when you sign up and mention offer code GIFT100. Call now, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573.
Packages, prices, and promotions subject to change. Gift card courtesy of GoDish.com. Call for details.
Let's dance.
Welcome back to Blowin Smoke, ladies and gentlemen. We were talking before the break about the firing at Google, the man who wrote the memo challenging the diversity policy at Google, and how the statement from Google was that, or at least someone that worked at Google, was that he was committing violence with his thoughts and with his memo. The words in his memo committed violence. I had been speaking about how the left and the Democrats have been working to turn our words and our opinions and our thought into crimes and violence and physical acts for a while now, and this is just the most recent example. They're out in our faces saying it to us. This person's words were considered violent acts at Google just because he wrote a memo disagreeing. The point is, if the left succeeds in turning opinion and speech into violence, our words themselves into physical acts, well then, as I said before, we all become those targets of that violence. We all become punchable, so to speak. I don't know if you've seen that quote, go punch some Nazis. You know, it's okay to punch Nazis. Well, it's okay to act violently against Nazis. They've told us this all week. Even though in this country we have free speech and the ability to assemble, according to the left, if you assemble and say the wrong things, you become eligible to have violence committed upon you by themselves, the left, the Democrat Party. We become clubbable. We become shootable. We will become susceptible to a little visit from our local Antifa representative. That's right. Or if we don't say the right things and think the right things and act the right way, we might get a little visit, a knock on the door from our local Black Panther soldier just to let us know what's up and get that pound of flesh. The Democrats want to create a clear and present danger from their political opposition and use it to justify violence against their political opposition. Ladies and gentlemen, in this country, we govern ourselves. We the people govern ourselves. We the people are the political movement that is opposite the Democrats. So make no mistake, this isn't about some kind of extreme rhetoric to try to simply and only cause us to not vote for Republicans anymore. No, no, no. This is an effort by the Democrats, by the left, by Antifa, by BLM, by the progressives, the Marxists, the communists in our country to give themselves an excuse to start taking it out on us physically. We, the people who oppose them politically, they want to take it out on us physically. This is what happens, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard it here. Maybe you've heard it somewhere else, but you're hearing it here. This is what happens when Clinton, Lynch, Comey, Obama, Rice, Holder, D.W. Schultz, Huma Abedin, etc., keep the list going, all go unpunished for the crimes they committed and the laws that they've broken. The left becomes emboldened. They become empowered. And their attack dog media buddies are always there with their backs. This is what happens when you don't prosecute these high-level government employees. Employees isn't the right word. Civil servants, especially from the side of the Democrat. Look, if a Republican breaks the law, prosecute him. That's what happens, actually. In real life, when a Republican violates ethics or commits some kind of fraud or breaks the law, they get prosecuted for it. What we see out here as the American people is that when someone with a D beside their name does it, not much happens at all. Not even a slap on the wrist. Believe me, a public statement saying someone acted stupidly or whatever it was, that's just a slap on the wrist. Disrespectful, all that stuff, sure, but it's just a slap on the wrist. So, if we're sitting here and we're watching the left and Antifa and BLM turn us into their future targets and their enemy, us, we the people, because we the people are the politics of the country and we the people are their political opponent, what do we do about it? One way is to turn off the TV. I know it sounds weird, but if we can't do that, then we have to turn off the news, at least that mainstream media. We have so many ways to go about getting the information that we need. Most of us these days have at least one social media platform that if we so chose to use as the conduit to the information that we're seeking, that would be sufficient. We could also, if we're going to disconnect from the television news and cable news, we could maybe add a social media platform to our collection and jump on Twitter and have the Facebook and check these things out. Follow and like the people that we have come to believe are interested in defending and working for America and giving us the information we need so we can do the same. It's not that difficult. But we have to find a way to pay attention. Not the way that we have for the past several decades. Not in the way that we have gone about it as the left has become emboldened and the Democrats have become so much more extreme. But that's the thing. We're so used to being entertained. It's the only thing we understand, I think, really, as a society and on average right now. We have to find a way to break this cycle of this constant churning of one subject to the next, 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 never really getting to focus and parse out any subject or challenge or question or debate. We have to move to the next one. And a quick aside here, how that happens and what I'm describing is this. If you sit down and you watch 1 hour of Fox News, you'll see that it's divided into segments. It's the same with radio. You hear all of us refer to last segment, next segment, these kinds of things. It's very common knowledge. Each segment is a period of time, and in between the segments are commercials, marketing, advertisements to try to sell you things. When I talk about the media as propaganda, when I talk about the media as the re-education tool and as the propaganda tool, any of us, when we say it, we're talking about how they go about it. And a quick little rundown of that is, segment 1, the anchor brings on a host to talk about the top story of the day. The high points of each side of the argument are touched upon. Sometimes emotions run high, sometimes they don't. Either way, we get all worked up about what they're discussing in this segment. Then they go to break. Then we get 2 or 3 pharmaceutical commercials, a life insurance commercial, a commercial from a financial institution, all of them referencing current events that they have decided will help convince us to buy and purchase their products. Then in the midst of that mix, we see a commercial for a law firm for a class action lawsuit against some big pharma pill that 10 years ago was famous and now has killed all these people. And it wants us to know that if we were one of them, we can sign up and get some cash. And then we've got that series of 3 or 4 minutes worth of advertisements and commercials that take us to these other extremes of reactions and thought and frustration and opinion. Then we come back to Fox News. And we have the next segment. Well, they've got a whole brand new pundit and a whole new subject for us to talk about, and it becomes emotional and dramatic and overstated and conflated, and projection ensues, and we're all worked up again about this new issue. And then, wait, ladies and gentlemen, you better stop, because we got to take another break, because there's some more pharmaceutical commercials. We need the banks and the car companies and everybody else to tell you why it's important for you to give them their money. News nowadays, cable news, 24/7 news, and network news. It is the 2-minute hate that we, who have read 1984 by George Orwell, understand and see because we've read that book. The idea is the amount of time that we will turn on and view Fox News or any other cable news show. It is about taking our emotions, our feelings, our opinions, our awareness, and mixing it all up and causing as much chaos, as many extremes of emotion as can be, to cause as much discomfort as can be caused within us, so that we stop rationally thinking and we abandon calmness, and we can't keep ourselves focused on one subject for more than 5 or 10 minutes at a time. That is what I mean when I say that the mainstream media, the cable news outlets, and the people who are giving us our political news, that is how they go about propagandizing us, manipulating us, and fooling us and lying to us. It is with the basic format of segment, commercial break, segment, commercial break, segment. That is the foundation and the skeleton upon which all the rest of the body of the attempt to control our minds and our reactions and our thought processes is built upon. And it all comes as a result of the amazing audiovisual devices that each of us carry in our pockets around with us at all times. But let's get back to this. I tweeted this week. We live in a hyperculture of distraction and misdirection. I just defined it for you. We do the same thing with television shows, reality shows, documentaries, 1-hour dramas. It's all about the manipulation of our emotional responses to the stimuli we take in through our eyes and ears. And it has very dramatic effects on us sometimes. We feel things very deeply when we watch powerfully told stories, whether it's on the news or on a 1-hour drama on television. And it has caused us to become full of distraction, full of misdirection. We can't even identify the path we're on because we're too busy looking at all the road signs trying to sell us all of the BS that exists in our world. There must be a balance reached. Folks, how do we reach that balance? Somehow we have to find a way to balance our technology, which is incredibly beneficial to us on the one side. But we have to find the balance, because on the other side, it is also incredibly damaging. We must simplify our connectivity, maybe. Maybe it's that, yes, we need the information, we should watch, we should pay attention, but instead of it being this habit-forming 6 to 8 hours a day, maybe it's a 1 hour a day thing, maybe it's only a 2. Maybe we can become more curious of a society, and we can seek out more information instead of just clicking that clicker off to Fox or MSNBC or CNN and whichever it was and leaving it and never going any further. Maybe we hop around. Maybe we turn all of them off, as I suggested earlier, and we read our news, and we get it from sources online that we have also vetted and looked at and watched for a period of time and have decided, as I said earlier, that these people are trying to help us with information so that we may use it the same way to improve our situation in America. It seems easier, sounds easier than it is to do. It's easier said than done. But I think that there's something to this idea of balance and how deeply and closely connected we are with our political news commentary and our news in general. We'll get back to this. We've got a little bit of time left after this break. Here I am feeding this break. It's time to be advertised to. It's time to buy something else. It is what it is, folks. We are all kind of players in the game. You can hate the game, but don't hate the player. Stay tuned. Be right back. This is AJ on Blowin Smoke.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. That's 800-472-5145.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all states. Product availability varies.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is AJ Gaynor with you, right here on the Talk America Radio Network. Thanks for tuning in. Just blowing through it today. There's so much on my mind, so much in my head about what we witnessed this past week of the Trump administration and our mainstream media's assault on you and me as American citizens. They believe that we're sheep, that we're stupid, that we need to be herded in different directions, that we are foolable and manipulatable. And in many aspects, I can't disagree with them. They are. We see it when something is sold to us on television through the news. We'll see our friends on Facebook spout off the talking points and defend it to the proverbial or figurative death on Facebook. It's too bad. But the fact is, each of us individually, if we were to take some time and you could interview all of the folks on your Facebook page, or you could sit down and interview all of the folks in your little town, which of course is ridiculous, but this is a hypothetical. If you could, you'd find that the majority of people really aren't stupid. They make mistakes. They might not understand some of the things you do, and there are going to be things that they understand that you don't, and we all have our different areas where we excel, but we're not sheep. We're not sheeple. We're not a herd. We're not stupid. And I mentioned before, I said maybe we can become a more curious society, because I think that right now the people who make and produce the shows and the entertainment that we consume, they've gotten this idea and this attitude about us being stupid and not curious and not seeking out the new and the unique and the true. And so they don't feel under pressure to do any of those things, and so they keep pumping out what they've seen around them. Sure, that's fine. But maybe we can become a more curious society. Maybe we can question more. Everyone, all the politicians, not just the Republicans or the Democrats or the Libertarians or whatever it is, maybe we can become a people who seek our history instead of trying to remove it and cover it up. Maybe it can become a more widely practiced endeavor to seek and find the truth, not to just latch on to a soundbite from someone that we think is cool, or a headline from a really popular historic newspaper, or maybe it's not the TV anchor's tube dress and smile that keep you going back for more ridiculous, empty rhetoric that has no value. The only reason many of those talk show hosts and those anchors on all of those cable news channels exist and are there in those seats is because of how they look and how clearly they speak. It's my opinion, but I believe that's the case. It wasn't that they proved they had a great political mind or a great mind for news or journalism. They were really pretty. And I know that, some people will get really offended about that. But look, it's television. It's a visual medium. And it has that audio aspect of it as well. And if people, even the smartest, most intelligent, deep-thinking people, if they aren't appealing to watch and listen to, we will not see them on our television. But back to this. If we can become that more curious society, if we can seek that history, if we can learn and seek that truth, and we can forget about the sound bites, if we can push aside the headlines, if we can become immune to the wiles of the anchor's smile, and we can actually become a group of individuals that seek individuality, if we can actually become a we the people that is a group of individual, unique people, then that would be the answer. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, you never want to be part of the mob. You never want to be caught up in the surging mob, the waves and the back and forth, the pendulum swing of the masses. That is the thing that we should try to avoid at all costs as individuals. You should never, ever, ever want to be a member of the mob, regardless of what that mob is. What we know is that mobs are uncontrollable, that there ends up becoming a flow, and that the members of the mob get caught up into it, and that actions and causations result from this mob mentality, and that 99% of the time, they are never good. So if you're in the Antifa mob, you're not doing any good. If you're in an opposition to Antifa mob, you're not going to find in it what you need. You're not doing any good. It's the wrong way. Coming together in groups and then going out and trying to force your preferences on other people with force because you're a mob never has a positive outcome. We're not herd animals, folks. We are each unique, whether we believe it or not, whether we've been taught it or not, whether we understand that or not, whether it's been shared with us in the right way for us to comprehend it. We're all one of a kind. Yet, our insecurities as individuals, our self-doubt as people, those things lead us to try to move in packs, to join cliques, to join ideologies, to adopt, finally, isms, cynicism, nihilism, liberalism, Marxism, communism. That's what happens when our insecurities and self-doubt lead us to believe that we will be more comfortable and safe in a group that is massively larger than just ourselves. We open up and become susceptible to all of those isms that become so destructive of ourselves and so destructive of our communities. Instead of being Sylvia or Steve or John or Billy, we are Antifa or BLM or the pro-choice movement or the transgender movement, homosexuality movement. Those people have given up their individuality, their ability to be unique, all in the name of some what they believe to be more important subject. And it's sad. It's absolutely sad. The Democratic Party, the left, progressivism, all devalue the individual by demanding unity of thought, unity of behavior, which is exactly the opposite of human nature. We are all unique, and that is part of our nature as individuals, as human beings. So what they do, what the left is, what the progressive movement, the Democrat Party is in opposition to human nature. They are a lesson in contradiction, folks, the Democrats. They see culture as a group of individuals instead of seeing a group of individuals as having a culture. Do you see the difference there? They see diversity as something in opposition to what the actual reality is. Think Google and the firing. Diversity exists at Google. Diversity exists in this country everywhere. As I mentioned in one of the earlier segments, we all work with people of all different colors and religions, and men and women working together. It's there. We are the melting pot. We've known that for generations. But to the left, to Democrats, they see diversity as something that is the opposite of what exists today. They have to change the definitions of things like diversity and unification. They claim to represent the helpless and the victimized, yet they support late-term abortion. and they desire the jailing of climate change skeptics. They stomp loud for inclusion, ladies and gentlemen, and then they pass laws that will jail you for using the wrong pronoun. That's the kind of thing that goes on here. That's what I mean when I say that the Democrats exist in opposition to human nature, that they are lessons in contradiction. They see diversity as something other than the reality that exists around them, which is nothing but diverse. There can be no diversity of diversity because it is redundant. Diversity, the word excel itself, describes the being, the state of diverseness. We have that in this country. We know that. The Democrat Party, regardless of the subject, regardless of the social justice BS that you hear, they are in opposition to harmony. They are in opposition to peace. They are in opposition to neighborly behavior. They are in opposition to debate. They are in opposition to our constitutional republic. They are in opposition to our Bill of Rights. Ladies and gentlemen, there can be no way to look at the Democrat Party from top to bottom, the left, the progressives, the communists, the anarchists, Antifa, BLM, all of them. There is no other way than to define them as the opposition party to being a free-thinking, liberty-loving human being in our day and age in this country. They have come out and shown us, and line by line, explain with bullet point after bullet point after bullet point of opinion and view and agenda and ideology that they exist in opposition to every single one of us out here who just want to be free to pursue our own happiness. That is the name of the game. So whether it's about healthcare or tax reform or homosexuality or transgenderism or abortion or war or global warming, climate change, whatever it might be, science in general, the Democrat Party, the left, the progressives, liberals in this country exist in opposition to your very existence if you do not agree with every single thing that comes out of their mouths. They will not stop. They will not say, agree to disagree, bro. They will not say, it's water under the bridge. They will not say, it's okay if you don't agree with me. We will never hear that. And if we do, we know they're lying, because all we have to do, if we so choose to go through the torturous process, is turn on the television to MSNBC, CNN, any of the networks, and they will assure us, they will explain to us quite clearly why it is that human beings are the worst things that have ever happened to planet Earth, in their opinion. It's almost over. It's time for a book to shove in your skull. This week, the book to shove in your skull, I think I've covered it, I've done it before, and it's been well over a year, I believe, but Lord of the Flies, ladies and gentlemen, by William Golding. If you've read it before, read it again. I'm going to. It's kind of an adventure story. But it's not about the adventure per se, it's about what happens to human beings. In fact, children who we presume as innocent are the subject of this story, and they are stranded. They become stranded, and it is about the social development and progress and evolution over the time they spend stranded and what takes place there. That's a very vague way of putting it, but that's the point. I don't want to give the book away. I want you to read it. I want you to shove it in your skull. So I hope you will. It's Lord of the Flies. These days, with what's happening politically, with the hysteria that exists on the left, because we the people expressed our desires and followed through with the constitutional responsibility to govern ourselves, they just can't handle it. Just like some people, as you would see in the book, a group of people who think they're right can't handle being told they're not. And we end up seeing what human beings do when they have no moral compass guiding them, yet they feel self-righteous and they feel like they are their own authority. We see what happens, and it's happening in front of our eyes in this country, and it's explained in this story, this work of fiction by William Golding called Lord of the Flies. I hope, if you haven't read it, I hope you will, and if you have, I hope you'll do it again just like I am. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to figure out a way to remain above the fray here, to let those who would self-destruct without taking us down with them. As I've heard it said many times, our president needs your prayers. If you're not a religious person, then he needs your defense. He needs your efforts to debunk and explain and correct the record that the mainstream media and the lefts and the Democrats in this country right now are putting down about our president and our times. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned to the Talk America Radio Network. I'll be back with you next weekend with a brand new show. Onward and upward. And until then, bye, Earth.
If you owe the IRS or state $20,000 or more in back taxes, you need the tax resolution experts at Fortress Financial Services. We save businesses and individuals from being shut down by the IRS. Your local attorney or CPA cannot negotiate with the IRS like us. This is all we do. We'll defend you, protect you, and negotiate the best deal. Here's what other Fortress clients have said. Jim F. from Texas. I couldn't imagine Fortress would achieve what they did. You can't find more understanding, impressive people. I want to thank Fortress for saving my life. Ed P. from Utah. After trying reputable local attorneys, I got nowhere. That changed once I called Fortress. They got results almost immediately. If you owe $20,000 or more to the IRS or state, call Fortress Financial now for a free consultation.
800-918-6794. 800-918-6794. That's 800-918-6794.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. That's 800-296-1289.